Welcome to the Time Capsule podcast, where your family history becomes your greatest legacy. I'm your host, Barbara Beauregard. Let's get started. Today, we're turning our focus to something deeply emotional, something many of us think about at certain times of year: family traditions and holiday memories. If you ask people what they remember most about their childhood or their grandparents, you'll notice something interesting. They don't always remember the full names, or the exact dates, or every family story, but they do remember the smell of a certain recipe, the way a room looked during the holidays, how a loved one always said a phrase a certain way, the sound of laughter behind a closed kitchen door, or the feeling of belonging that came from a ritual repeated year after year. Traditions are powerful. They anchor us. They connect generations, and they often hold more emotional weight than any single document or record. But traditions are also fragile. They can fade quickly when the person who carried them forward passes on, or when life changes and routines shift. Today, we're going to talk about how to capture and preserve those traditions, not just the what, but the why, the how, and the feeling. So why do traditions matter so much to many of us? Traditions are more than routines. They are an emotional memory, a sensory memory, a shared identity, a cultural heritage, and a way that identifies our family bonding. For many families, traditions are the glue that holds everything together. Think about your own childhood. There is probably at least one memory that resurfaces every year: baking cookies with a grandparent, attending a certain event, a favorite ornament, a particular food, or even something as simple as the way gifts were wrapped. These moments become the family story, but traditions are easy to lose. Without meaning, one reason traditions disappear is because people rarely write down where a tradition started, who began it, why it mattered, or what made it special. Without that context, the next generation may keep the action, but lose the meaning, and eventually the action fades too. Here's an example. Maybe a family always made a particular soup on Christmas Eve, but if no one knows why, that it started during a difficult year, or it came from an ancestor's home country, or it was tied to someone's first holiday in America, then the tradition becomes just something we used to do. So, as we can see, meaning creates longevity. Let's look at how we can preserve our traditions. Start by capturing the original stories behind the tradition. Ask, when did this begin? Who started it? Why did they do it? Was it tied to a move, a celebration, a hardship, or a milestone? How did the tradition evolve over time? These stories do not need to be long. Even just 3 to 4 sentences can add depth, emotion, and context. For example, this dessert was the only thing my grandmother could bake during the Depression. She served it every Christmas to remind her children that even in hard times, sweetness could be found. That is a story. That is meaning. That is legacy. Now let's capture sensory details. Traditions live in our senses as well as our memories. So, whenever possible, record what it smells like, the sound, the colors, the textures, the environment, who was there, and what people said. These tiny details help the next generation not only feel the memory, but imagine the memory, not just read it. An example would be, the kitchen always steamed up when the dough hit the pot. We could hear the radio playing Bing Crosby in the background. The bubbling water candle ornaments glowed, and there always was a fresh pine smell throughout the house because we used to have a real Christmas tree. Details are what bring traditions to life. In many old family photo albums, you may be able to find where your family took photos of the holiday celebrations: the decorated table, the Christmas tree with the wrapped gifts around it, and the group photo of everyone sitting around the dining table. But how about capturing meaningful shots of the in-between moments? Hands kneading dough, a child sprinkling sugar, the box of ornaments opened each year, a worn recipe card taped to a cabinet, grandma standing by the stove in her apron, dad stringing lights around the front door every year. These photos capture how your family actually celebrates. They show the heart behind the ritual. If you want to create a short audio or video clip, try to preserve the tone, the laughter, expressions, the pauses, and personality. Ask questions like, what does this tradition mean to you? What do you remember about the first time you participated? Who taught you this? Why do we still do this every year? These recordings become priceless, and one day someone will hear a familiar voice and feel grounded again. To make a traditions section in your time capsule, you can create a special folder, digital or physical, dedicated to traditions. Include and photos, recipe cards, short written stories, videos, old decorations, clippings, little objects tied to the ritual, and audio clips. Be sure to label each item clearly with the name of the tradition, who is associated with it, the approximate number of years, and include a summary of why it mattered. Even one or two traditions recorded this way can make the next generation feel more connected to their heritage. Now let's take a moment and think about this. What is one tradition from your childhood, big or small, that still brings up a feeling when you remember it? Is it a smell? Is it a sound? Is it a taste? A specific scene? This memory is the clue to what you should preserve. Start your action step for today by choosing one tradition, anything at all, and capture one piece of it. You can photograph a recipe card, write a paragraph about where the tradition came from, record a loved one explaining what it means, scan an old ornament, take a picture of hands preparing food, or save a sound, like a song that always plays each year. This one small action preserves a memory that might otherwise disappear. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Preserving traditions is more than saving information. It's protecting feelings, smells, sounds, sights, connections, and experiences that help your family feel like a family. If you'd like to go deeper, check out my new book, The TIME Capsule Method. It will guide you through documenting not just your genealogy, but your living traditions, stories, and personal legacy using the time framework. And if you'd like a companion resource, check out my book, Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, which offers practical strategies for safeguarding your family history and preparing it for the unexpected. Both are available on Amazon.com in paperback. You can also find lots of informative blog articles, free guides, mini webinars, templates, and legacy tools on my website, ancestryseeking.com. And as always, you're welcome to reach out anytime with questions. I love hearing from fellow family historians. Your legacy begins today. Until next time, this is Barbara Beauregard for the Time Capsule Podcast.